Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is filled with some of the most iconic video game characters of all time. So many different characters from so many different franchises. But what if you forget their names? Well, luckily there's a stage that can help us with that. In the background of the boxing ring stage, the giant television screen in the back will give each and every character their own unique nickname. This is a really cool Easter egg, and these titles can range from references to their home series, to names that just sound cool, and names that suck. Yeah, not all of these are bangers, but these are pretty cool to look at, so I thought it would be fun to rank all of them from the worst to the best. Okay, I know this sounds like a really stupid video idea, hear me out. Believe it or not, I have been requested to do this video a lot over the course of the last few years, but I never truly considered doing it before two things. One, I saw a video by Shay Productions ranking all the Brawl Wiimote sounds, which conceptually is as silly as this, but I also really liked his video. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Secondly, I have a massive 200k special I'm working on, so I thought it'd be nice to have a shorter video to make while I work on that in the background. I didn't realize there were 100 titles to cover. So yeah, we're going to be going through these pretty rapid fire. I'm judging these based on two things. One, does it make sense for the character? And two, how cool or funny does it sound? These are all meant to sound like intimidating titles, so my favorites are the ones that excel at that. Even if you don't care much for my personal ranking, I hope this video will be at least a fun showcase of all the titles, since I certainly had fun looking at them. So if you enjoy this sillier video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right in. We're going to be separating this video off into tiers, since they're mostly pretty similar quality-wise within tiers. So here we have our F tier, the ones that I find to be absolutely garbage. These can either make no sense or just sound really boring. So starting off the list, we have 100, Diddy Kong, the Acrobat. Yeah, Diddy Kong is acrobatic, but seriously? Not only is this not cool sounding at all, but this could apply to so many other characters. I mean, hearing that without character context, I don't even think Diddy Kong would come to mind first. They should have made it the monkey or something, that would have been awesome. 99, Yoshi, Omnivore of the Year. This sounds at least a little more exciting, but also makes less sense. What happens when the year is over, Yoshi? Not so cool now, are you? 98, Larry the Youngest. The reason this list has 100 entries despite there being way less characters than that is because certain costumes actually got their own unique titles as well, which is really cool. This applies to all the Koopalings, and sadly Larry being the most basic of the bunch got him stuck with a pretty boring one. I mean, I'm not going to be intimidated by hearing someone is the youngest and that's it. 97, Sora, chosen by the Keyblade. What, do you want a cookie for that? Yeah, to me this one just sounds like a little kid boasting what they accomplished that day. It is nice that DLC characters get titles though. 96, Olimar, veteran astronaut. That is certainly something he is, but who cares? 95, Alf, astronaut in training. Honestly, this one might be lamer, but Alf is better than Olimar. 94, Cringe, the Cosmic Travelers. This is a slightly more interesting way to say astronaut, but I honestly think they could have chosen something way better. 93, Fox, leader of Star Fox. Absolutely no flair to this one. Yeah, that's certainly what he is, but it feels like a placeholder title. 92, Chrom, Prince of Yaliz. Basically the same as the last one, but he doesn't have his own name in his title, so it makes it more interesting. 91, Eredrick, the legendary hero. This can apply to like half the cast. It's got a bit more flair to it than the last few, but it is so generic. I mean, I feel like this could even apply to every hero variant. It just feels lazy. 90, Pikachu, Pika Pika. He's the only Pokemon to just have his title be noises he makes. I mean, imagine if a basic wolf was in Smash and his title was just grrr. Okay, never mind, that actually go hard. 89, Banjo and Kazooie, laid-back animals. This is basically no coolness factor. Why would anyone be intimidated by people described as laid-back? At least it's on the more creative side. 88, Wii Fit Trainer, Yoga Warrior. Sure, that's what she does. Not really cool sounding though. 87, The Vengeful Spirit. Oh no, wait, sorry, that's Golden Freddy. 87, Wolf, the Silver Space Wolf. This just feels like someone looked at Wolf's design and threw a bunch of adjectives together. He's silver and a wolf and works in space. It's all just very wordy and not particularly intimidating or cool at all. 86, Isabelle, the mayor's assistant. I mean, that just sounds like they're downplaying her. She doesn't sound like a main opponent at all, just some random assistant for the real challenge, the mayor. I definitely would have changed this so the focus was more on Isabelle herself. Now it's time for D tier, which is the smallest one of this video. These are still leaning toward being garbage, but have a little bit redeemable about them. Only a little. 85, Pit, Captain of Lady Palutena's Guard. This one is just way too wordy. I definitely feel like they could have shortened it. Also, this is another one like Isabelle that sort of focuses on a different character, but at least in Pit's case, he's the captain, so it sounds a little cooler. 84, Dr. Mario, the Prescriber. This isn't really exciting at all, but it's at least kind of a creative choice. 83, Ike, the Radiant Hero of Legend. Again, this is another one that's way too wordy. I definitely feel like they could have cut the of Legend part here. I don't care if adding of Legend is more accurate to Fire Emblem, it sounds bad. 82, Zelda, Hyrule's Wise Princess. I just feel like this doesn't really have a good ring to it. Like, sure, she's the princess of Hyrule that holds the Triforce of Wisdom, but I'm not sure if that's really that exciting of a boxing title. 81, Pac-Man, the Yellow Bane of Ghosts. Okay, this one is definitely too wordy. I feel like they did not need to say he's yellow here. I mean, I have eyes. At least the concept does seem somewhat cool. 80, Simon, Evil's whip-wielding Bane. This also just doesn't feel that great to say in my opinion, but if I was evil, I would be at least a little bit intimidated by that. 79, 79, King Dedede, Self-Made King. I just think this one sounds sort of mid, there's really nothing notable about it. It does also apparently come from Kirby Star Allies, which everyone says is one of the most boring Kirby games. 78, Greninja, Master of Stealth, and 77, Lucario, Master of Aura. These two are both basically on the same level. They sound kind of cool, but at the same time pretty generic, especially in the case of Greninja. At least Lucario's is a bit more personal to him with the use of Aura. Alright, C tier time. This is for the titles that are mostly pretty okay, but just aren't that notable. They're perfectly functional, but just not too memorable. 76, Mii Sword Fighter, the Sword Fighter of Many Faces.
Hello.
75, Mii Gunner, the Gunner of Many Faces. And 74, Mii Brawler, the Brawler of Many Faces. Obviously, the Miis are a bit of a weird case since they can be anyone, so I think this was the best thing they could have gone for all three. I mean, these guys can be anything from Sans to a Minecraft pig, so at least they covered their bases here. Maybe it would have been kind of cool to let us make our own custom ones, but changing a character's boxing ring title would be a really specific thing to customize. 73, Wendy, the Bold Beauty. It's got a decent ring to it, but I just gotta ask, is she really a beauty? 72, Morton, the Enforcer. This certainly does sound pretty intimidating, but I'm not entirely sure it's super fitting for Morton. Like, if you said it without context, he wouldn't immediately jump out in my mind. It does at least sound way better than Diddy Kong the Acrobat, though. 71, Bowser Jr., the Prince of the Koopas. This one is just a much lamer spin-off of Bowser's title. I mean, it still sounds fine, but I think they could have done something a bit better here. 70, Jigglypuff, the Sleepy Singer. Nothing more intimidating than my opponent, sleeping. There's not really much else I think they could have done for Jigglypuff though, so this is fine. 69, Donkey Kong, King of the Jungle. Sure, that's a fine enough title. I think first member of the DK crew would have gone hard as a reference to the DK rap though. 68, Pythra, the Aegis. 67, Marth, the Hero King. 66, Luminary, the Luminary. 65, Solo, the Zenithian Hero. These four are all titles given to their respective character in their home series. They work perfectly fine and are totally understandable choices, but I can't say I feel excited or intimidated reading them all. Plus the Aegis in particular I've always found lame because calling them Pythra is way more fun. 64, Shulk, the Visionary. This is kind of a cool play on his ability to see into the future. It's not the most exciting thing though. 63, Captain Falcon, the Supersonic Slugger. This is pretty catchy, but I just feel like not the best fit for Captain Falcon. I mean, when you hear it, I think a certain other character probably comes to mind first. 62, Samus, Bounty Hunter Extraordinaire. Alright, now we're starting to pick up a little bit as this one is fairly solid. Still not the most special, but perfectly serviceable. 61, Duck Hunt, Bark, Quack, Boom. This is kind of a cute way to represent all three members of the Duck Hunt trio. The dog, the duck, and the guy shooting at the screen. I don't really think it works well as a title though, it's just a collection of noises. 60, Ness, the PSI Powerhouse. I don't have much to say on this one, it's just pretty solid. 59, Sheik, the Elusive Sheikah. This definitely does sound pretty cool, but I can't help but feel like there might have been a better choice. I'm not sure what exactly they could have gone for, but this just doesn't feel like the best choice. I know that sounds really stupid, but that's just what I think about this. 58, Falco, Proud Space Ace. Now this is a much better one for the Star Fox series. While I still wouldn't say it's the most exciting thing, it does fit for Falco pretty perfectly. 57, Piranha Plant, Bloom of Your Doom. Love the rhyme here and it's a pretty funny one. I think I personally would have dropped the your, but it's still pretty strong with it there. 56, Ken, the Fire-Breathing Fist. This comes directly from Street Fighter, so making it his title makes complete sense. Even outside of that, it's pretty understandable because Ken is going to be doing a lot of Shoryukens. It is kind of wordy, but I still think it sounds cool. 55, King K. Rool, the Kremlin Commander. I was honestly kind of surprised they didn't do anything with him being a king, but I was surprised in a good way. His name already gets across that he's a king, and now this shows how he commands an entire army. A pretty good one. 54, Peach, Princess of Toadstools. Okay, maybe this deserves to be lower, but I like how it's a reference to Princess Peach's old name, Princess Toadstool. Well, I guess technically Toadstool is just her last name, but whatever, you get what I mean. 53, Bayonetta, Umbra Witch. This is another title given to her from her games, but it also sounds kinda cool. I really don't think there was any better choice. 52, Ryu, Eternal Wanderer. Like Ken, this is an official title given to him in Street Fighter V, but I think Ryu's is just a bit cooler as it sounds more mysterious. As someone who doesn't know the series, Ryu probably wouldn't be my first guess when I hear this title, but it's still cool. 51, Steve, World Crafter. This does sound kinda neat, but like Sheik, I feel like it wasn't the absolute best choice. But it also could have been a lot worse. They could have just called him the Miner or something. 50, Pokemon Trainer wants to be the very best. Okay, I love the concept for this one. It's a reference to the iconic opening line to the original Pokemon anime intro. That's really cool, but I also think they executed it a bit poorly. This is very wordy and I don't think it had to be. Just having the title be the very best would have been a perfect fit. 49, Lucina, Warrior from a Doomed Future. While a bit wordy, this does sound pretty cool. I'm not a professional in Fire Emblem lore, but I think that's a pretty fitting title for her as well. 48, Byleth, Ashen Demon. Call me an edgelord, but I just think adding Demon works pretty well as an intimidating title. This is also apparently taken directly from Fire Emblem, but again, I ain't playing all that. 47, 8, the Dragovian Descendant. Coming from someone who knows nothing about Dragon Quest, I just like the sound of this. I don't know what a Dragovian is, but it's a cool sounding word. I also don't want to Google it and fear that it might make it sound more boring. 46, Snake, the Legendary Mercenary. And 45, Terry, the Legendary Wolf. These are sort of more specific spins on the legendary hero name we saw from Eredrick earlier. Since these fit much better with their respective characters, I like these more. And of the two, I like Terry the most because it just reminds me of these stupid werewolf images. 44, Corrin, Blood of Dragons. dragons. This is quite literally the only time Corrin has done something remotely cool. This is probably referencing the fact that he is a dragon, but using blood as a way to make that relation is pretty good. But now it's time for the B tiers, the ones I think are pretty good. 43, Dark Samus, Phazon Incarnate. Not only does it fit the character, obviously being a Phazon clone of Samus, it's just a really cool sounding way of putting it. 42, Roy the Young Lion. Not really sure what it is about this one that makes me like it so much. It comes from the Fire Emblem series itself, so it's a very fitting name, and I think it fits with his personality in Smash of being very aggressive. 41, Inkling, part kid, part squid. The reference for this one is obvious, being the iconic ad saying, "You're a kid now, you're a squid now." While this is certainly a funny reference, it's not really an intimidating title by any means. 40, Young Link, Master of the Ocarina. Obviously, I love that this references the Ocarina of Time, which I still think should be used in one of his taunts, but whatever. The use of the word master also reminds me of the Master Sword, but I have no clue if that was intentional. I am surprised this title isn't the Hero of Time, but this does work pretty well. 39, Min Min, the Ramen Bomber. This apparently comes straight from ARMS, and yep, that works pretty good. Okay, well, the ramen part works. I'm not sure about the bomber.
There's a bomb strapped to my
38, Palutena, Goddess of Light. This is her official title in the Kid Icarus series, and I can't think of a better fit. It doesn't really have any crazy flair to it, but it's nice and simple. 37, Richter, Azure Vampire Assassin. The phrase Vampire Assassin goes crazy hard, but the Azure part doesn't always work. I mean, what if I really want to play Purple Richter? He's not Azure.
purple guy!
36, Joker, the Great Phantom Thief. The Phantom Thieves are the main party of Persona 5. I think they honestly could have gotten away with just Phantom Thief, but adding the Great to it does make him seem a little bit more important. 35, Daisy, Sarasaland's Chipper Princess. I always like to see Sarasaland get mentioned, especially since, you know, Nintendo refuses to release Super Mario Land on Nintendo Switch Online. Chipper's also a pretty good word to describe Daisy. 34, Link, Champion of Hyrule. I can't think of anything better to call him. Sure, they could have went with the Hero of the Wild, which is technically this Link's official title in the Zelda series, but I think throwing on Champion was important here. Him being Zelda's champion is a very important aspect of Breath of the Wild, and I think that makes this a pretty fitting title. 33, Little Mac, Bruiser from the Bronx. And it's finally time we see the main man himself. I mean, this is his stage after all. I just really like the sound of this, and it makes Mac sound a lot tougher than he, well, actually is in Smash. 32, Robin, the Tactician Magician. Okay, I like this one just because it rhymes and it's fun to say. Plus, he is both of those things in Fire Emblem Awakening. He's the main tactician, and you can see him use plenty of magic in Smash. 31, Zirasu Samus, the Warrior Within. This is just a really clever play on words. The Warrior Within is a somewhat common phrase, and applying it here is kind of funny because Zirasu Samus is of course the warrior within the Samus suit. After typing that part of the script, I realized this entire video is just me explaining the jokes like a redditor. I'm such a loser. 30, Pichu, Shockingly Adorable. This is how you do a more cutesy sounding title. There's basically no way to make Pichu sound intimidating, so going with a pun based on its electric attacks was a really good choice. I mean, he's not that adorable. 29, Kazuya, the Iron Fist of Darkness. Perfectly intimidating, comes straight from Tekken, I have pretty much no notes. 28, Lucas, the Boy from Nowhere. Without context of Mother 3, this makes Lucas sound really mysterious, like he just showed up out of the blue and is crazy powerful. However, with context, this is a cool play on the fact that Lucas is from a place called Nowhere. I mean, they even played on this for a Smash 4 announcement trailer. 27, Ludwig, Pompous Prodigy. Ludwig being my favorite Koopaling probably helped him out, but the alliteration here works very well and both words fit him perfectly. He's also usually the hardest of the Koopalings in the mainline game, so him being given the title of Prodigy makes complete sense. 26, Mr. Game & Watch, Master of Two Dimensions. I mean, I think this was just the best phrasing they could have to make a flat character sound cool. Not flat personality-wise, I mean like paper. 25, Zombie, Night Roamer. Like the Koopalings and Hero, Steve's different costumes also have their own unique titles. I really like this one. It fits perfectly with how the zombie spawns at night in Minecraft and sort of sounds like some sort of monster in a scary story. 24, Meta Knight, the Masked Swordsman. Absolutely hits all the right bases, gets the main two parts of the character down being the mask and sword, and leaves it sounding very mysterious. 23, Mega Man, the Blue Bomber. This rolls off the tongue a bit better than Min Min's did, and it's just more iconic in general. He's referred to this in the Mega Man series several times, and there's really no better fit. Plus, him being a bomber makes more sense here because look, he can explode you. 22, Dark Pit, Darkwing, Doppelganger. Such a fun one to say, and it really encapsulates Dark Pit as a person. He's Pit, but evil. 21, Mewtwo, A Legend Reawakens. If anyone was gonna have Legend in their title, it had to be Mewtwo. Being the face of legendary Pokemon, this is a no-brainer. As it turns out, this is also a direct reference to a Pokemon movie, that being Genesect and The Legend Awakened. I can't think of a better one for this guy, so he certainly deserves this spot. Now it's time for the ones I really like, the A tiers. These usually consist of the coolest sounding names, the funniest, or the best references. 20, Villager, Mayor of Smashville. Maybe this isn't the best reference nowadays since you were technically only ever the mayor in Animal Crossing New Leaf, but that game is goated, so I like to see it here. Plus it's also cool this references the first Animal Crossing stage in Smash, obviously being Smashville. Although technically there are not enough characters to title your town Smashville in New Leaf, so this is really impossible.
That's what the kids call epic fail.
19, Cloud, Soldier First Class. This comes directly from Final Fantasy VII and is is what he claims to be. I will say I haven't gotten a chance to play the game myself, but even without context, it does just sound pretty cool. 18. Toon Link Wind Waking Warrior. I love the alliteration here. Referencing his main tool, the Wind Waker, makes so much sense. He easily got the best title of the Links. 17. Iggy the Laughing Prankster. Yeah, I pretty much just like this because I imagine he's doing a major amount of trolling. He's just like me. 16. Luigi the Eternal Understudy. I really like how this one sounds, and it fits with Luigi being overlooked compared to Mario. But they don't make it sound lame or something like Mario's number 2. Instead, they make it sound way cooler. In fact, this is actually a reference to Luigi's unlocked text in Smash 64, which is a pretty neat place to pull from. Smash references to previous Smash games are always nice to see. 15. Enderman End Dweller. Take what I said about zombie and turn it up even higher. This description really feels like some sort of horror monster, and that is basically what an Enderman is, so pretty good job there. Even outside of Minecraft, using the word end makes this guy sound like he's from the end times or something, some sort of deadly and desolate land. And again, that's also pretty fitting for what the end dimension actually is in Minecraft. 14. Wario Scoundrel with a Fart of Gold. Dude, whoever wrote this one cooked so hard. Obviously, this is a play on the phrase heart of gold, but replace it with something that better fits Wario. Plus, gold is also a major part of his character, so this was a perfect phrase for Wario to take his spin on. 13. Wii Fit Trainer, the BMI Bandit. There is so much to talk about with this one. You may be a bit confused right now because we saw Wii Fit Trainer earlier in the list with the title Yoga Warrior, which is a pretty boring one. So how are they now here up in A tier? Well, Wii Fit Trainer is the only character to have different boxing ring titles based on their gender. All other gender swap characters share the same titles, and as far as I can tell, there is no reason these two should be any different. I mean, male Wii Fit Trainer does yoga too, so he could have been a Yoga Warrior. But I'm happy he isn't because the BMI Bandit is so much funnier. Perfect use of alliteration, and it's not something that I would have ever come up with. Such a great name for an exercise-based character. 12. Ice Climbers Bone Chilling Duo. This one goes pretty dang hard. Bone chilling can often mean something scary is about to happen, so that makes this title sound pretty intimidating. The reason it's attached to them is because they're ice-based. They're gonna make those bones pretty chilly. 11. Incineroar, the ring's Raging Flame. Now this just sounds like a wrestler title. Fits being on the stage boxing ring, and the Raging Flame certainly applies to Incineroar. I can't think of anything better to drum up the proper amount of fear to the person it's facing. But for our top 10, we got them all placed in a tier of their own, S tier. It was really hard to order this section. Honestly, I'd understand pretty much anyone here taking the top spot. Starting off, 10, Ganondorf, the King of Darkness. This name is used all the time in Zelda, and I would say it fits him pretty well. To be fair, I think the Demon King or Great King of Evil might have been a bit better, but this is still good. It makes complete sense that the more intimidating characters get cooler sounding names, so we're going to see a few of them up here. 9, Roy, the Cool One. I don't even have to say Roy Koopa, we know which the cool one is. This may seem dumb to place so high, but I honestly find the simplicity of this one to be super funny. It's one of the most memorable titles to me, and I think it fits Roy Koopa pretty dang well. I mean, just look at those cool sunglasses. 8, Lemmy, Wacky War Machine. This is definitely my favorite Koopa Link title. Lemmy's always seen as the silliest, so throwing Wacky on makes complete sense. But adding War Machine makes it so much funnier. It just sounds like he really wants to seem tough, so he goes overboard, but that in turn makes it even funnier. Perfect name for Lemmy. 7, Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel. This was the only choice they had. It's what everyone knows him as. Even without context, the name just sounds cool, which is why it easily puts him into S tier. 6, Sonic the Blue Blur. Very similar story to Sephiroth. This is pretty much the only clear choice for a name. I just like how Blue Blur rolls off the tongue a bit better, and it's a really good way of conveying his super speed without outright saying it. 5, Bowser, King of the Koopas. Okay, this one might be a little bit of a cheat, but for some reason, I always just enjoy saying King of the Koopas. Like, this is something completely outside of Smash. Pretty much half the time I see Bowser, I call him King of the Koopas. Realistically, maybe this deserves to be a lot lower, but to be fair to me, I think it's the best choice for Bowser regardless. I mean, he's referred to this several times in the Mario series, so there's really no reason to go with something else. 4, Kirby, the Pink Demon. They went hard on this one. It really makes it feel like Kirby is hiding something behind that joyous smile. It just also got such a good ring to it. I feel like it also sort of references how dark people claim the Kirby lore is. I've only played a few, so I can't say I'm particularly familiar with it, but hey, this seems to go with the lore kinda well. This is also a direct reference to Kirby's title in Kirby Superstars Arena mode. So yeah, there's a lot of layers to why this one works so well. 3, Ridley, Cunning God of Death. Whoa, okay buddy. This one goes crazy. Every single word builds such a terrifying image, and it fits Ridley perfectly. I love that it's not just God of Death, but they threw on Cunning to show how smart this guy is too. This is easily the most intimidating name of the bunch. Plus it even comes from Metroid Zero Mission's Japanese website, so it's got a decent origin on top of that. I absolutely love this one. You're crazy if you don't have it in your top 10. 2, Rob, the Last of His Kind. I like this one a lot for 2 reasons. 1, I mean it just sounds cool. Being the last survivor of anything generally means you're pretty strong to survive whatever took out the rest of you. But most importantly, this is a reference to Subspace Emissary. I mentioned liking Smash references in Smash before, but this is the best example of that. In Brawl Story Mode, all of the other Robs basically, the Rob we play as was the ancient minister, who eventually breaks free after all of his brothers have died. That is a fantastic reference for a title, which is what makes it easily one of my favorites. Okay, I know you guys aren't gonna agree with number 1, but 1, Mario, Mr. Video Game himself. In a game filled with all these other video game mascots, this one goes kinda hard. Characters like Pikachu, Sonic, and more all have millions of fans worldwide, but they can never be him. Mario is the face of video games, and no one else can even touch him on that. So this title proudly proclaiming that he's the most famous is in my books pretty cool. Plus I also just have a Mario bias. Love that guy. But anyways, that's it for this video. Are you all astronauts in training and hate me for making fun of Alf? Let me know in the comments. I'm gonna keep this conclusion short so I can get back to work on my big video. I know this may have been a silly concept, but I really hope you all did enjoy watching this regardless. I know I had fun going through all the names myself. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time.